Hi, this is a new video basically about the use and arrangement of arrays using the array command in AutoCAD. Now, I have had this video up here before, but due to a few changes that have happened over the last couple of editions, it's become pretty obvious that I need to look at the new way that things are laid out. They weren't quite matching the old video, so this is in fact an updated video on the array system. Now with any array you normally need an object, so I've just put a circle up here, and now I'm going to go up here to the array command. Now generally, and it really depends whether you've ever used this before, but the caret by the side of the word array, that little downward triangle, if you click it, you can see that there are in fact three different types of arrays: rectangular arrays, pathed arrays, and polar arrays. Now the one that we use a lot is the polar array for doing things like flange bolt rings and stuff that go on the end of pipes, and that sort of thing in fabrication. We generally do a flanged array of some kind. So I'm going to pick that, the polar array, and I'm going to pick the hole that I've got set up there. Now I'm going to come down from there. I'm around about 4.5. So if I go 4.5, click, you can see that it puts an array around a center point, which I've just clicked. So you put the item, picks it up by its base point, and then you look at the center point of the array, and it will put the array on. Now, what if you don't want 6? What if you want 4? Or what if you want 8, 12, whatever? Well, it's to do with items. Now, you can either go up here on this top bar here, and you can see where it says 6 items. That's the reason why it's defaulted to 6, because that was the number that was set. I could just swipe that out and say 8, enter, and it would automatically change it to 8. I could come down here and click on this item, and you can see it's got 8, and I can enter 12 down there on the command bar, and it would change it to 12. So yeah, there's a multitude of ways. Like most things in AutoCAD, there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. It's an old expression, and I apologize for any cat lovers if that offends you, but it is an old expression. There's plenty of ways of doing this. Okay. You can also see some other things at the top under properties, which are more reminiscent of things like the pathed array or the rectangular array. And it's the same on here too when they're talking about rows or levels. It's a little bit better if you actually put a different type of array down. Now you can see the way that I've done that. I've done 12 items around a 360-degree circle. What happens if I only want 270 degrees? What if it's some sort of a selector on a sweeping arc of some kind? I go to the 360, I type in 270, and I hit enter. And voila, I've got a 3/4 circle, 270 degrees, with all of these selection points. So you can see that going down here, distance in between, all the fill angle, all the number of items will drastically change. I'm just going to go back to 4 now. The way that we see what we're doing, it will drastically change it. Another thing to look at is maybe one of the other different points. The rectangular kind of almost speaks for itself. Let me just go back on this one, back to a single dot, all right, a single hole, sorry. And I'm going to go to array, and this time I'm going to do rectangular array. I'm going to pick the item, same as I did before. And you can see that now it comes up in a rectangle. You could say if I'd done a 3x3 instead of a 4x3, it would end up as a square, which is perfectly true. But we're looking at the number of columns and the number of rows. So let's look at the last type of array. To actually put this one on, I might want to just come up and put a line starting on this, maybe with an arc in. Maybe a couple of arcs in, then an arc out. It's almost like a sideways bell of a kind, right? So now that I've drawn this little bell sort of shaped object, I'm going to go to Array. It's asking me to select the objects, which is that one. Right click. It's now asked me to select the path, so I'm going to select that one. Right? And now it's telling me that basically it's associated everything. Not doing it by the base point or the measure. We're going to do it from the associative from the corner. That basically means we're looking at 1.5 inches in between each of these objects as they go down this curved line. So if that was the edge of or the center line of a flower bed, I could be planting bushes. I could be seeing how many will go down the length of that curve. I can look at the items. You see, I've got items at the moment. If I unclick that to unlock it, I could say I only want 16. Enter. Now it would only do it because I've now restricted it both by the number and the distance in between, right? I could look at splitting it up. I could look at making it a particular measure, either in the X or the Y, or linearly along the actual line itself. I could make them 2 inches apart. It might alter the number if they go off the end. In fact, it didn't, luckily enough, but you get the general idea. You can actually line things up to a curved line. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed that brief tour into different types of array commands, and I'll see you in the next lesson.